What's up, gents? Um, Long day, long couple days. Uh, Not a lot of energy, I'm not gonna lie. But, um, we got a recap to do. Didn't do it yesterday. Totally forgot. Thought about it a couple times at work. Came home, went to the gym, did not had to cook dinner, meal prep, didn't have time, whatever. Anyway, football season is like 2 weeks away. Gotta get dues in, boys. $25. Nobody's paid it yet. I'm gonna start being a bitch about it. Um, Again, we voted, agreed on it. Don't know why it's still a problem. Uh, Whatever. Also, for football, created rivalry week. Got some new rivals this year. I did this the other day at work. I hope I can remember the reasons. I know Alec and Connor didn't really have a reason, but they were the last two out. So we're doing rivalry week is week 11 for NFL, for fantasy football. Again, Alec and Connor, kind of the oddballs. They're getting stuck together. Brochard and Chumba, rivals going into this year. A lot of beef between the two. Might have been fabricated by me, perpetuating it. If you don't know, I also made a group chat with Chumba Brochard and I, just because of something that happened one time, and I made a group chat. They've beefed in that a lot, and a little bit in the big group chat. So that's why they're rivals. John and I, big rivals. John thinks that league office is against him. I think that he's just being dramatic. So that's another rivalry right there. We got Eddie versus Jake. Eddie kept Jake out of the playoffs last year. Last week of the season, they went head to head. Winner makes the playoffs. Eddie got in. Jake did not, as the top scorer in the league. Kind of disappointing for Jake. So that's that rivalry. And then we have Rungy and Griff. Rungy was 3-0 against Griff last year. So that's where that rivalry comes from. Griff has yet to be able to beat Justin. So, going into baseball recap. We had the game of the week. Team Sternly going against Big Bruisers and PED Users. Brochard's team just didn't completely show up this week, if we're being honest. Pitchers just kind of shit the bed. Only got 63.5 points. Jake's team ran away with it. Sternly, not only did he run away with that, but due to that victory, Jake Stern, clinches his spot in the playoffs. So Jake is officially in the playoffs. We now have 4 playoff teams confirmed. All the others still up for debate. So we'll see. We got 2 spots left. But Stern seals his spot for the playoffs. Brochard still in a tumble. Still falling apart. And yeah, it's tough. Tough for him out here. He's on like a 4-game skid. Anyway, moving next game. Team Badussi taking down the Drippy Droppers. This game was fairly close, about a 5.5 point differential. But Team Badussi jumps in the standings. And they are now the next favorite to clinch a playoff spot. They are at 89% 89% chance to clinch a playoff spot. Seems almost completely likely that they will. Depending, I didn't do all the math, but basically, whatever. I know, again, I don't have the energy to do that on the fly. He would have to lose and Brochard would have to win, and then it comes down to the head-to-head matchup. Whatever. Budussi, good chance to make the playoffs now. Really came out of nowhere. Mid-season seemed to be a cakewalk in your matchup when you got Budussi, but came back in an impressive way, and they now big chance to make the playoffs. Then we got the placeholders taking care of Griff and Team Wallach. This really makes the Upstate Division interesting. A lot of things can happen now. Griff losing and me winning gives me the number 1 seed for the Upstate Division. However, as mentioned last week, Griff controls the game, the deciding, like the head-to-head matchup. So if Griff and I end up with a tying record, Griff will take the number 1 seed. But also, since no seeding is decided yet, for sure, technically, Jake has a shot to get the number 1 seed. If Griff and I both lose and Jake wins, which Jake is playing Griff this week. So if Jake wins and I lose and Griff loses in that matchup, Jake jumps to the number 1 seed in the Upstate Division. So big week for the Sternleys. Guess we'll see how that rolls out. But Cameron taking care of business again. Doesn't really look like anybody's going to be taking Cameron down. Cameron is just steamrolling teams right now. Put up 24 points as his lowest scoring day this week. Highest was 88. So Cameron's really on another one right now. He's on a different level. I don't know if any of us are going to catch up to him. Next, Clubhouse Space Cadets, who are officially out of the playoffs, take down Lazy Team Name, which again makes this week very interesting, as I'll explain in a minute. But Clubhouse Space Cadets, even though they are out of it, they win this game 286.5 to 225. Again, Lazy Team Name, one of those teams that some weeks they're real dangerous, other weeks they just fall. Eddie falls to 9-10, and I'll explain why that's interesting in a minute. Finally, I took care of business. The backup bullpen catchers took care of business against Juice Balls. There was a little while, honestly, that I was a little worried that John might have this. He put up 60.5 on day 1 to my 13, and then 47 on day 2 to my 61. So we still had a fairly sizable lead, even through Wednesday when he scored 23 and I scored 31. He had a decent lead. Thursday, however, he put up 2 points, I put up 21. Friday, I had 84, he put up 13, and Saturday, I put up 120 to his 51. So my Friday, Saturday, my boys were balling those 2 days. And honestly, I'm grateful for it. Needed this win to get back into feeling confident going into playoffs. So back to the standings. Why Eddie is interesting. Oh, I kind of mentioned it already. But Eddie and Brochard are actually tied for their head-to-head matchup, which then I believe after that it falls to points scored, which Brochard is leading in. So, if Connor loses, Eddie wins, Brochard wins, they can't both win. If Brochard loses, Eddie wins. I think Connor is out, Brochard's in. There's the 3 teams that are left in contention. Any 2 of them can end up in the playoffs this week. Eddie has a 42% chance, Brochard has a 69% chance, and as mentioned, Connor has an 89% chance. However, in the Upstate Division, again, Jake could jump to the number 1 seed this week. If I lose and Griff wins, then Jake is definitely out. So if I lose and Jake wins, Jake jumps to the number 1 seed, because Griff and I will both be 13, 6, and 1. No. If I lose and Griff loses, I'm 13, 6, and 1. Jake would be 13 and 7. Maybe he can't jump. He's only a game. Oh, no, he can't jump to the number 1 seed, but he can jump Griff. Maybe that's what it was. Whatever. There was something that I was. Anyway. Cameron, if by some miracle John pulls off the win against Cameron, and I win as well, I would jump Cameron for the number 1 overall seed. Cameron is currently 14 and 5. I am 13, 5, and 1. So Cameron is slightly ahead of me right now. But if he were to somehow lose to the 1 and 18 Juiced Balls, and I also beat the Drippy Droppers, I would be able to jump Cameron in terms of seeding. Not that it really matters, honestly. We'd both still have a number 1 seed. We'd have a bye. And we don't have a home field advantage or anything like that built into our league. So it does not matter. However, with all that being said, you hate to see it from them, or you hate to do it to them. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Big Bruisers and PED users got to be in the game of the week again. Not a bunch of interesting games. Badusi and Clubhouse Space Cadets. Again, Connor's likely to make the playoffs. Sternly versus Wallach. Seeding, important. I get it. Placeholder versus Juice Balls. John's up big right now, but Cameron has just been so hot. I'm sure he'll figure it out and make a comeback. 85 to 6. So we'll see. And then it's myself versus the Drippy Droppers. The interesting game is Big Bruisers and PED users versus Lazy Team Name. Winner, I believe, is if Brochard wins, clinches his spot for sure. If Eddie wins, he jumps Brochard in the standings. They'll have the same record, and then Brochard will be dependent on how Debussy goes. I don't know their head-to-head record. I didn't look it up, but it'll make things interesting. So that's the game of the week. Bruisers versus Lazy Team Name. Again, being game of the week. You get the hand you're dealt, and you kind of deal with it, Brochard. You'll figure it out. I believe in you. Best of luck to all. Pay your goddamn dues, and we'll see you in the playoffs.